Just because you had this identity while you're in college doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into the person that you'll become after college. So I was catching up with my friend last year and we were in the car, and you know when you haven't seen your friends in a long time, you start updating them about stuff in your life. So in this car ride, I was telling her how these last couple of years, I started to realize that I was struggling in social situations because I was confused on how I wanted to act. And it might have been because I moved to a new city, it was pandemic, I haven't interacted with people in the last 2 years, and so coming out and meeting new people, maybe I was just being socially awkward. But while I was describing everything to her, what we realized is that I was honestly just going through an identity crisis. After realizing this, I did have some time to reflect a bit as to why this was going on, and it was honestly the most weirdest, cloudiest, and most insecure time of my life. And so obviously, the first thing I do is pick up my phone and research a little bit more about it. And I realized that this is actually a very common thing that students who recently graduated go through. And so if you are feeling a little bit lost post-college, you're definitely not alone. My experience honestly for 3 years, and so wanted to share this video to really break down what an identity crisis is, why it typically happens after graduating, and some things that you can do to reconnect with yourself. So what an identity crisis is, it refers to a period of time of inner conflict and uncertainty where someone questions or reevaluates their sense of self, values, beliefs, and life goals. This phase often occurs when there's a huge transitional period in your life, such as adolescence, young adulthood, or major life events like graduating or having career changes. In this experience, you may be feeling really confused about who you are, what your purpose is, and the direction of life that you want, but this will ultimately lead to your quest for self-discovery and a deeper meaning of who you are. Experiencing an identity crisis after graduating can be a very common phenomenon and can happen for different reasons. One of the reasons that you can be experiencing this is because of the transition towards adulthood. The shift from being a student to an adult can lead someone to reevaluating their purpose or struggling to understand where they fit into this new world and for this new phase of their life. This is something I definitely struggled with. When I was in school, I was just such a proactive student. So I'd wake up, go to the gym, TA, go to my classes, and then at night I would hang out with my friends and then go to sleep and then repeat. But then transitioning out of school, a lot of my friends moved out of state or they're from a different area, so I never really got to see them anymore. And then I decided to move to a new city at the time. And so since it was also pandemic, honestly, the stimulation was from 100 to maybe 5%. And I was struggling with trying to be okay, not being as stimulated as I usually was. Another reason can be because you're not quite sure about the pathway for your career. A lot of people, when they go to college, they have a decent idea of what they want to do. And then when they graduate, it could be the case that maybe that's not really what it is that they wanted in life. And so you kind of go through this reevaluation phase to understand, should I really be doing something that I went to school for? Should I be doing something that I was actually passionate about? Should I do the internship that had nothing to do with either? And so during this phase, it can be very confusing, and maybe it's that you're also comparing yourself because you don't have your life quite figured out just yet. I also did fall into this bucket, I'm not gonna lie. I went to school for environmental science. I had a lot of experience in researching, knew I didn't want to do that. Had other experiences doing a lot of strategic communications roles, and that's honestly what I wanted to do. But when I graduated college, there's no jobs for that because of the pandemic. Also because a lot of companies are still working more internally to build their environmental processes. And so what I ended up doing at first was I actually started a freelance graphic design side gig, and I was able to get a lot of clients. I was really happy that I was able to do something that I was passionate about, but then something inside me was always wondering if I should be doing what I went to school for all these years and got my master's in. And so I decided to pivot, and that's honestly where a lot of the roles were available at the time. And so now I'm doing more corporate sustainability work. And since I've been able to do that these last couple of years, what I do realize is that I still want to have a blend of both of the things that I like. Like, I couldn't solely just do graphic designing. I solely couldn't just do corporate sustainability strategy. But how can I set up the life that I want where I can balance both of those things? But overall, in trying to figure out this career path, it really did take me these last 3 years to understand what it is that I want, or have a clearer picture of what I want. And even now, it's not like the final picture. It's like kind of like a mosaic painting that's a little muffly, but it's getting clearer as I'm being proactive and trying to make sure that I'm experiencing the different career paths that I want. Another reason can be because of external expectations. When we started school, we're told that we'll go to school, we'll graduate, and then we'll have this career all figured out. And having these pressures from our friends or family, and if we don't meet those expectations, it can really have us be a little insecure about where we are and pondering if this is the right choice that you're making. I think this is especially true if you're Asian American and you have parents who have told you that, you know, you need to have this type of career, you need to make this much money, you need to be able to provide for the family in the future. And if it's the case that you're starting out and let's say you're not making that much money, then you start putting pressure on yourself and questioning if you're even worth it enough, given that you're not meeting their expectations. It's honestly so difficult because, you know, we experienced the pandemic, we couldn't find any jobs even after we graduated with the whole degree. And then most recently, there's all these layoffs, especially in California. And so it is really difficult to even find a job. The last reason that I'll share is that perhaps you're going through a period of personal growth and change. College is one of those periods that's super transformative, and so you're starting to fit in with the community around you, starting to understand how to socially engage with everyone and develop a clearer picture for what you want for the future. But just because you had this identity while you're in college doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into the person that you'll become after college. There could be some things that you liked while you're in college that you might not like after you graduate, and that's just okay. It could be that you're more extroverted while you're in school, and maybe post-school you start becoming a little more introverted, and that's okay. We as people aren't really meant to have a stagnant personality, and we're always changing on an ongoing basis. And so we need to learn to embrace how we're changing and growing into our future selves. So what are some of the things that you can do to reconnect with yourself? I know that dealing with an identity crisis can be really confusing and really difficult because, trust me, I went through it for 3 years and I didn't even know I was going through it. But there are some things that did help me that I want to share that you guys can do to help recenter who it is you are, or at least try to build some of the steps for you to figure that out. Take the time to explore your interests and your passions, because when you are doing those things, it'll help recenter you to remember what it is that you do like. And this too, you can also maybe realize that, oh, the thing that I was passionate about, maybe it doesn't give you that same joy anymore, and now it's time for you to try something new. When my thoughts were kind of everywhere, something that really did help me was to journal all of those thoughts down, because when you're kind of just thinking in your head, it's going at a million miles an hour. But when you can take the time to write it down or type it down, it can have you streamline and focus your thoughts a little better for you to understand why it is that you're feeling a certain way, and maybe some things that you want to aspire towards, and having that be more clear. Another thing that can really help is to start reading books that you're interested in building skills in, or just topics that you're interested in, or even listening to a podcast. Podcasts have been booming so much these days, and so I'm sure you can find something on any topic that piques your interest. Another thing you can do, especially as it relates to being a little fuzzy in your career path, is to reach out to your network or seek out some mentorship. When you're able to connect with some professionals in your field or in your network, they can really help guide you to see if the career path that you want is something that you actually want to do or not. They'll definitely be able to give you more of the inside scoop as to what the day can look like, what are the actual skills that you'll need to get there, what are some of the challenges that you might face through those types of roles, and in this, connect you to someone else who may be able to give you more details, but overall in this can help provide more clarity toward the path that you might seek. I know it's really difficult to network and find mentorship. I only have a couple of friends who are actually very proactive in finding mentors, and this is something that I'm actually not really good at either. I typically find my mentors where I end up working at, but some of my friends who do seek out mentorships on a pretty consistent basis, they would honestly just hit some people up on LinkedIn, and some of those connections may bite, and have a chat with them, and through those relationships and conversations, they'll ask if they can mentor them. And the thing about mentorship is that it's not a one-way streak, right? It's that when you're meeting these people and these strangers through LinkedIn, you'll want to learn from them. They'll probably have to find something that they want to learn from you. And so that's why it's kind of a very, I would say, tiring task, but when you are able to find mentors who want to help you, they can really accelerate your life at a quicker pace. I do have some other friends who pay for mentorships as well. There are some professionals who, if you sign up through their platform, can give you more one-on-one direct consulting. And so if that's something that you're interested in too, well, there's that option for you. Taking care of your physical and mental well-being during this time is probably gonna be one of the most important things that you do through this phase, because honestly, you're not gonna know how long it lasts. Like, it'd be great if we can just all figure out what it is that we want to do, who we want to be, waking up the next day, but that's not always the case. I know when I was at the height of my identity crisis, it was probably during the first year I was going through it, and I was having extreme anxiety where I wouldn't be able to really sleep. And then for some reason, when I would go into the car, I would get kind of nauseous because my nervous system was going a little haywire. And I even tried to take some CBD to calm me down, which it would physically calm me down, but mentally what helped me the most was being very consistent. I did cardio like every day, to help clear my mind and have the good hormones in my brain. And then did a lot of yoga, because I don't know what it is about yoga, but I love the instructors that not just guide you through the practice, but always have these affirmations throughout the practice. And so that also did help to understand that where I was gonna be at, maybe I just needed to let go of something for me to feel better, and just to be patient with myself. The last tip that I have for you is to set some goals and really value and cherish the small achievements that you go through in your life. It's really important through this time to set some really realistic short-term and long goals for yourself. So a short-term goal could be, okay, I'm still confused on the career path that I want to take. Maybe I'm gonna talk to some random strangers on LinkedIn in these 3 different areas to see if it's something that I want to do. And a longer term goal could possibly be, okay, I go ahead and, try to make sure that I have the skills necessary to be in that type of career. And remember to really celebrate all the small successes that you have in life. Like, it can be something as small as, wow, I woke up today and I had an amazing sleep. Because not everyone is guaranteed to have really good sleep every night, and that can be an accomplishment in itself. Maybe it's that there's a new skin product that you tried and it worked on your skin. Another small accomplishment can even just be rearranging your apartment to the way that you wanted it to be. Sometimes you just need a fresh start, and a good way to do that is rearranging the things that you have. But no matter how small the accomplishment is that you celebrate, it can really help to motivate and boost your confidence to want to do something in the future. And so overall, hope you guys found this video a little helpful. If you did and want to see more videos like this, then please give it a thumbs up. But remember, having an identity crisis is such a natural part of growing. We go through this a lot of times in our life, actually. That's why when you're a teenager, you're like super confused of who you are, and then you find it, and then this next transition from college to adulthood, and then people have like a midlife crisis at some point, or a quarter life crisis, because they're again trying to figure out who they are, and they're realizing all these things about life. And so it's definitely a super normal part of living, but it's such an opportunity to get to learn about yourself again and seeing what it is that you actually like, so you can get motivated and pumped for the person that you want to be in the future. Until next time, guys, bye.